a career in the arts, whether it's acting or music or film or any of that stuff, it exists and it doesn't exist at the same time, you know? Like you can do that stuff, but are the opportunities always there? Maybe, maybe not. So how many of them can you find and how many of them can you create? And then again, how long are you willing to
stay inspired for?
Yeah, or suffer, or like. Great question. There's a lot of things to watch out for. Everybody's gonna say that they can help you for a price, right? And so that is to say, like, sure, I got you on headshots, and then like upcharge you on this and that. Like, what are the things that you actually need? Like, you need a good headshot that looks like you, and ideally, if you have good footage of you acting, that's not like an acting class, but if that's what you got, fine.
Your website, amazing, by the way.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's like super basic. I did it on Wix. I have to pay to join the union, or I won't be allowed on set. And after that, I won't be able to do any non-union work anymore.
But that's only given to people in terms of like you can only get to the point that you could even pay, or
yes,
is it
you can only you have to you have to get to the point where you have the privilege to buy into the union. You're exactly right. And so the way I did that is I was in, here's the gig, they need a guy who like an Irish accent. So I was like, okay, yeah, like I've done that. Like, wait, let's not fuck around. Like, I do a bit of that. So, already not too bad. So I call up my friend Lisa, and Lisa's she's a line producer, and she's from Northern Ireland, from Belfast. I call Lisa. I'm like, Lisa, you got to give me the crack. Like, how do I sound? Is it proper? Right? She's like, oh no, right as rain. Like you've got it. Right? And people are getting more jobs to create more stuff, to create spreadsheets in order to be like, you know what we need? More of that stuff and less of this stuff. And what is it getting us? Like anxious. Phones are keeping us, like, I think a little too plugged in. And fuck, I don't have an answer to that in a global world. Like, I kind of do want to know what's going on, but it's, I don't know if the biblical metaphor of the forbidden fruit's the right answer, but it
you ate that shit.
Yo, and can we put the genie back in the bottle? No. I don't know.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah,
we got kind of done in the crib. What's good, bro? How you feeling, man?
Good, I'm good.
Yo, thank you for coming through, bro.
Absolutely.
Yo, I don't normally do this, but there was so much that I had to write it down.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? I had to fucking write it down. I was like, damn, you were in fucking Law and Order, Dead of Winter, A Perfect Murder, Rachel Drash's Late Night Snack, Impractical Jokers, fucking best fucking show. Alexander Hamilton, fucking Deadline Crime with Tamron Hall. He was in 5 fucking leading roles in a bunch of different films. Hold on. Tundra, you're not gonna do that right now. You're fucking my shit up. Alright? Inner City Rats, Myth, The Cattle Farmer, God Save the Queen, The Time Traveler's Dilemma, The Karma Club, Shea, The Switch, If It Bleeds, Football Texas, Little Cactus, The Cobalt Report, House of Dreams, and he's been in mad other commercials. And on top of that, he has mad other skills, which I wanted to dive into because I'm like, yo, are you gonna do stunt work too? Because like technically you could fucking do stunt work probably.
Well, that's funny. Thank you for like reading those out. That's kind of the trip. It took me back in my head. I was just like, oh yeah, I've been doing this a minute.
And watching your shit, I was like, holy shit, like you're diverse in your personalities, I guess, in character roles. Like I was like, oh shit, like. There's serious roles. There was funny roles. There was a mix.
Yeah.
There was a whole different types of mix. So I could only imagine, bro, the shit that you've gone through.
Hey, one of these days, one of these days I'll cash in on that. I always thought like a bit of a chameleon or a little this, a little that. My interests are wide. Yeah. You see,
you go with what you like genuinely like vibe with, right?
Well,
or what you can get.
Mix, a little bit A, a little bit of B. Right? Yeah. So I moved out to New York thinking I was going to do a bunch of theater. Actually went to school. I have a degree in theater from Arizona State, ASU.
Hey.
The Devils. Yeah.
Party school, right?
Yeah. It's also my hometown. It's also like, and no, not as a safety school, but I don't know, in-state tuition. It's cheap.
Yeah.
So
And it's a great fucking school.
it was a great school. Actually, really great department for acting specifically. So I got to do a lot of different stuff. And then when I came to New York, decided to kind of get into film. I took some classes, specifically like the Barrow Group in New York City. It was kind of a no-nonsense approach. I had a couple like practical experience before I knew it. I was auditioning and like, I don't know. Not that I booked big stuff, but
you kept on grinding.
I'm still grinding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be a 15-year overnight success. Yeah.
But that's how it be though, right? Like in reality, because like you'll probably look back and you'll be like, holy shit. I mean, I just listed out everything that you've been doing thus far, right?
Yeah.
But like, yo.
There's other stuff that's, cooking that's not released yet, so on and so forth.
But not even only that. It's like, yo, like, imagine you in the beginning hearing all of that you did. It's like fucking dope. But I could only imagine for real, like, that it... I got mad questions, bro. Like, I can only imagine how difficult it was not only to get a role, but to prepare for a role and be in it. Mm-hmm. Come out, rinse and repeat, do a whole other fucking thing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, all of those things that you listed were definitely spread out over time. What I would love is for all that shit to be more compact and more often and like...
That shit was like in a year.
yeah, and like get paid for it better. And that's coming.
That's another thing too, right?
Well, my mindset right now is survive long enough to take enough swings until I hit a fucking home run. Or like at least a couple triples. Come on, like you know. But I know a lot of people who have already left the game. They're already out. Like,
okay.
And it starts off. There's people, and this is not a bad thing.
Is it a mental thing?
I don't know. I mean, you could say that. I don't. It could be mental, and like, I'm sure there's people who think there's something wrong with me that I'm still doing it. Right. So is it like, is it a mental good thing? Is it a mental bad thing? Right. Is it an obsession? Kind of.
What I mean in the sense of like. The choice to stop, right?
Yeah.
Because there's people that they don't get their chance until later on in their lives, and then it's a whole mix of things. Of course, it's probably disproportionate, but it's still
it's a calculation. It's a calculation.
It's still a chance.
I've been doing it for a long time, so to give up, that would kind of suck at this point. The other piece is, oh man, have I been so close? I've been so close a number of times. And not just with acting stuff, but I'm also behind the scene, like writing stuff, trying to get stuff produced. It's not all in front of the camera. And the other thing that's tricky, even in a scenario like this, talking about a career in the arts, whether it's acting or music or film or any of that stuff, it exists and it doesn't exist at the same time, you know, like you can do that stuff, but are the opportunities always there? Maybe not. So how many of them can you find and how many of them can you create? And then again, how long are you willing to
stay inspired for?
Yeah, or suffer, or like, you know, like how much are you willing to put up with? Because I read a lot of memoirs and all of them talk about it like a marathon. It's like, it's not... Yeah, it's not if, it's when, and that's the only reason I keep doing it. Because if I get real quiet, like I meditate or whatever, and I can, you know, when all of that dust settles, it's like, still this.
So when you were younger, right? Like, you always thought you were gonna be acting?
Not really. I've been doing it for a long time now, so it's funny to say I've been doing it since I guess elementary or middle school in some capacities. Like in middle school, I started in drama club, and then it was all downhill, uphill. But a little bit of it's all downhill and all uphill from there. I did a lot in high school, and actually I was really lucky. I went to a great high school that had a lot of, I don't know, we did a lot of drama. Like it was a lot there. A lot of people go to school and their class will have 2 plays a year, like a straight play, like a non-musical and a musical. And we did like 10 a year. And so it's like up and down, like a lot of memorizing lines, like getting up, doing it. And it wasn't that the director would tell you what to do. He'd tell you like, hey, you need to stand over there. He'd give you the directions and stuff, but like you just got to kind of make it your own. It was a really cool sandbox.
You trained a certain muscle.
Yeah. And if not, you know, training the muscle is enough drills, you know? I did it enough times where it didn't matter what it was. I knew what it would take, and what I've learned in acting from then, from there on, there's never one way to do something. I happen to really hate golf.
Sport.
And it's not against golf or golfers. I just think it's a waste of space.
You think it's a waste of space?
Yes, and this is coming around. But
Okay.
anyway, we can come back to golf. But using golf as a metaphor, golf clubs, different club for a different tool.
Yeah.
Now, golf video games, those are great. They take
Okay.
up no space,
space.
a lot of fun,
Right.
pretty cool.
Almost the same thing.
Anyway, you need a different club for a different tool. So when you come for an acting job, you can't just sit and fucking tee off all day. Like at some point, you're gonna get stuck in the sand. You're gonna show up. It's way early in the morning. You get new pages. Like, hey, this script isn't working. We need you to improvise. Like,
Right.
if you're not ready for a little bit of either that openness or whatever, it will limit your choices.
I'm sure you also had many side jobs.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I've first real job I ever had was a lifeguard, so I started doing that.
So
Yeah, 14, 15.
all strokes.
Well, I've never been on a swim team.
Okay.
But since I was 14 or 15, I've been a lifeguard and swim instructor. So I don't know, doing the math now, it's over. It's a long time, man. Yeah. It's it's getting closer to 20 years.
What were some of the initial challenges when you first started getting into acting? And not only just because I can't imagine memorizing all those lines and then also staying in character and not wasting time, right? Because time is money.
100%.
So I'm assuming like there's just so many factors that play into not only being chosen, but to doing the job correctly.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess if I will speak to that specifically as like being an actor in New York City, like first getting here and getting established, and oh man, when in-person auditions were still happening, like holy moly, your weekly schedule was such a minefield. Connecting this back to the different jobs that I've had, one of the first jobs that I got when I moved to the city was teaching swimming lessons. So I've always done that, and I'm very good at it. Just because I've been doing it for so long, and I enjoy it. But it was the flexibility. So I needed to be like, hey, I'm not able to come in this afternoon. I got to go to this audition. That's how it was for Law and Order. It's like, hey, got a call back, can't come in. At least I had it that. Yeah. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Well, go. If I had a baseball card and it was like my batting average for auditions for I wouldn't be drafted.
But you still got into a lot, and you managed to do well. So when you were in the mix, not only with trying to get roles, but surviving in New York City,
still happening.
Yeah, but in the early time, right? Because versus now, would you say that you've learned something that keeps you going, or can you say something to somebody, let's say, that is just starting out, what to watch out for and what to keep in mind?
Ooh, great question. There's a lot of things to watch out for. Everybody's going to say that they can help you for a price, right? And so that is to say, like, sure, I got you on headshots, and then upcharge you on this and that. Like, what are the things that you actually need? Like, you need a good headshot that looks like you, and ideally, if you have good footage of you acting, that's not like an acting class, but if that's what you got, fine.
Your website, amazing, by the way.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's super basic. I did it on Wix.
Nah, but headshots, going through, and then the scenes that you got. A1,
appreciate it.
The way you chose, really cool. Got me entertained. I was watching it, bro.
This is the tricky part. Is then how do you get that? And so what I did is I found someone who had a camera, not too dissimilar from what you got, and we staged a couple of scenes and shot it as if it was my coverage or my shot focused on me, and I would act it out, and then we had that there with good audio. And then I put that as if that was one of the credits you listed.
But it was so good,
well,
and it's something that it really showcased you and your talents. Because I was looking at that, and I'm like, holy shit! You can act in many different roles, not just one role, not a typical role. Even though you got the stoner look to you right now. Sure.
Oh. Can I help you?
We're looking for Patrick Quigley.
Maggie Quigley's husband.
Aye.
Honey, is that the takeout? Oh, sorry.
This, isn't what it looks like.
Never is.
Guys, I'm conflicted here, okay? I've got two devils on my shoulder. One, the salesman in me is saying, hey, Stevie, these two guys are gonna have a much better idea, buying experience, if you will, if they can touch and smell the shit, see what I have to offer. The second is the felon in me, saying don't fucking trust nobody, keep your shit hidden away, and therefore safe. What's the guy to do?
Look, man, there's a disconnect here if you don't think you can trust us. I mean, come on.
Here's the thing. I don't like to think anything. I like to know. Amen.
Oh yeah. Why is that so interesting?
Guys, please refrain from breaking the fourth wall.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, so you know what that means, huh?
Yeah. Anyone who's taken intro to acting knows what breaking the fourth wall means.
What?
Josh is a theater major.
He spends his weekends picking up garbage. That's pretty cool.
It was a misunderstanding.
Yeah. He's throwing out beer bottles. Instead of putting them in the dumpster, I was throwing them in the road.
How's that a misunderstanding?
Okay, don't be jealous, Alex, all right? We can all hang out together.
For what? Taking all the clients, thinking you're gonna be the best around here? Marcel chose me for a reason. Now, if I want to talk to the boy, I'll talk to him. If I want to give him a place to stay some nights, I will give him a place to stay. If I want to kill you, well, I will do that.
I'm not sure I'm interested in selling you to a dime bag after that load of a bullshit excuse you guys gave me. No, for a second.
I watched The Big Lebowski last
Yeah.
night, honestly, for the first time all the way through, and I'm just like, yeah, it's... yeah.
But at the same time, you shave that shit off, you can present yourself in a whole different way. Or even if you keep it on,
Sure.
if you have different fucking accents that you be
Different
fucking doing, yo.
So a really funny story about Law and Order.
Get that southern girl, you do that southern girl.
Yeah, I've got a lot of yeah. Spent a lot of time in Texas, so like that I've got for sure. But so Law and Order, I got that audition through an agent, right? So this is another thing. Like, how do I get an agent? I email people, like, and they say you'll never get shit through cold submissions, that and that. Like, I know, I did. I found 2 agencies that way. And you figure out who it is that is looking for people, and you email them. And obviously, there's different tiers of that. And like, I don't have an agent that that shares with A-list celebrities necessarily, but I get sent for good, legit work.
Yeah.
And they don't get paid. This is the other thing. You're talking about how you can be taken advantage of, or like things to watch out for. If you have an agent or a manager, you do not pay them unless you get paid. Yeah. Oh my God.
And what's a good percentage of what they should get paid from what you've earned?
Sure. So I think there are some legal things with that, especially if you're union or non-union. So those things you have to look into.
Are you union?
I'm union eligible, which means the next time that I book a gig that is on a SAG set, like if I book another thing like Law and Order or so on, I have to pay to join the union or I won't be allowed on set. And after that, I won't be able to do any non-union work anymore.
But that's only given to people in terms of like, you can only get to the point that you could even pay, or
yes,
is it
you can
something
only
that...
you have to get to the point where you have the privilege to buy into the union. You're exactly right. And so the way I did that is I was in I happened to be in a project that This is the If It Bleeds one, but you'll never really see this movie. It's kind of more a museum film. I love it a lot. Isabel, fucking great time. Another accent, you know. So it was a lot of fun. And it happened to be that someone on that project was in SAG and they didn't know. And then the producers had to like, you mean if they're in SAG, we have to pay all these people SAG rate? And that somehow like bumped me. In the technicality, I not only got to be SAG eligible, but I made perhaps more than I would have.
So that's a weird loophole. Like, so you're saying that because of one individual being in SAG, it made everybody else...
It depends on the context and it depends on how much money is in the project.
Oh, shit.
So, I'm not an expert on the rules because I haven't had to be, but for example, if you're in a project that has SAG people on board, nobody can be making more like money than SAG people. So if they're not getting paid, like nobody's getting paid.
I see what you're saying.
How that shakes down?
No, it makes sense. It keeps a certain many jobs have this. You know, they have a certain standard pay,
right?
And then there's like people that get paid a little bit lower, and they'll have them set at that certain rate, and then like there's certain levels to it.
And again, the union is good. Like I want to be in SAG. I want to need to be in SAG. Because you get things like residuals and those like sorts of protections.
Healthcare.
Yeah, well, you have to make a certain amount of money, so you have to make
in order to be able to.
Yeah, you have to make at least $30,000 or more a year or something like that, and you have to pay your dues, which are a few $100s usually a year, something really too intense or crazy. But
what do you think that like this pays for? Do you think that this pays for the union? Do you think that this pays for the establishment? Do you think that these pays for other people's pockets that
as far as union dues or the buy-in fee, or both?
Everything that it even starts to become an actor.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Screen Actors Guild is one of the best unions. That is around. Is long established, continues to fight even when things are pretty grim. Thinking of things like AI, I think it's pretty contentious right now.
How is that going to affect actors?
Well, I think it's going to come down to like people that get on board with it and people that don't in some way. For example, I just read an article today about a guy who licensed his likeness. That is to say, you can scan my body and you can have my voice, and then you can kind of like have that in your system, and I can be an avatar for your project. And this is like a Scandinavian looking white dude, and he ends up in a political ad for Venezuela. What?
That's where I'm from.
Right on, yeah. But like
that's crazy though. Like, so you're saying, but is he getting paid for that shit?
Yeah, from what I understand, a lot of these are like one-time buyouts. So one of the things that SAG was so...
They can keep using it.
Forever, and then you're just nothing. Like, I mean, I hope James Earl Jones's estate has, a great payout for him being Darth Vader forever.
There's gotta be someone that comes up with the idea of to like, oh, nah, you're gonna have to pay me forever.
But this is the problem. This is the problem.
Right,
is that there are enough people that will be like, nah, I'll take that. Like, there's literally a
So then what's the need for you? I see
this is what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. So for extras being an extra is a great way to get like on a film set and get
some recognition.
Well, to see what it is, because let me tell you, like I've been an extra. It's not fun a lot of the time, but you understand how. Oh, is it a lot of waiting? Oh man, film sets are like sit around and wait and like. Sit around some more and wait, and then like, why was my call time at 8 a.m. when you don't need me till 5 p.m. and you knew this ahead of time? Like, okay, I guess I'll sit here and wait.
I don't want to go too much here and there with the conversation because I want to go back to what you were saying.
Absolutely.
But like in those times, like, do you do shit? Or like, have you done?
Well, yeah, you can do a lot of things. You make a lot of mistakes. You can drink a lot of coffee and like eat a lot of snacks and really like blow up your whole week. Other things I like to stretch. I play a lot of hacky sack just to kind of like stay limber, keep my brain moving.
I haven't heard hacky sack for a minute.
Oh, dude, I play on the corner, like over there by where the library. We won't get too off track.
Off track. All right, so back to you're on set. You're you're waiting. You were talking about. Oh, okay. You were talking about extras, being extras.
Oh,
in the work.
exactly.
Okay.
Extra work. So it's like it's important because you need people in the background. You need people walking on the street and stuff like that. But film days are long days, and not just for you, the actor. Like the people that show up early and like set up the set and do the lights, and all the people that are doing the camera stuff, and all the people that are moving stuff around, and the PAs who are driving the trucks. Like, it's a super long day, and it's pretty thankless. And so, like, I think to do the extra work, you get to understand. The best way I can say is like the suffering you're in for, and like if you're into that or not.
Yeah.
Like it's not as glamorous and comfy all the time.
Right.
And sometimes it is, but rarely. Usually it's really long
You enjoy
days.
those moments.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, the best moments are between action and cut. You black out in those times. Like that's why you ran, your plays. So for the moment in the big game, you're ready to go. Like, and then it's over before you know it, and that was the best part.
What were some of the people like that you met in certain moments that you actually got the role? So like people in Law and Order, like how are people like?
Great story. So I get an email from my agent for Law and Order, and they're like, hey, here's the gig. They need a guy who like an Irish accent. And so I was like, okay, yeah, like I've done that. Like, wait, let's not fuck around. Like, I do a bit of that. So, right, already not too bad. So I call up my friend Lisa, and Lisa's she's a line producer, and she's from Northern Ireland, from Belfast. So I call Lisa. I'm like, Lisa, you got to give me the crack. Like, how do I sound? Is it proper? Right? She's like, oh no, right as rain. Like you've got it. Don't worry. And so I show up, and I've got my little headshots and my resumes and my little thingy. And he calls my name, and in that second, I'm like, well, how do I answer? Like, hi, how are you? Or like, oh yeah, that's me. And so I went, oh yeah, that's me. So I walk in there the whole time, like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Connor. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm from my. Stayed in character. I saw that, and so I think of someone like Idris Elba, and I had heard about him getting the Wire.
Okay.
And the casting director really loved him, and before he went in, they said, "Hey, we like you. They really like you. If you go in there with your accent, and you're not from Baltimore, they won't hire you." You need to pretend like you're from Baltimore when you walk in and walk out, and that's exactly.
So you bring up a good point. Is this something that some actors would do, or is it something that you would do in terms of looking up what other actors did in their?
I love, like I said, I mentioned before, like I love memoirs. How did other people make it happen?
So you read people's memoirs?
Oh yeah, I love memoirs.
Really? Talk to me about a memoir that you've read that you were just taken aback.
Bryan Cranston, the dude from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
He's been grinding it forever. When did he hit in his like early to mid 40s, like with Malcolm in the Middle?
So talk to me a little bit about his climb and.
I mean, his big break was like a candy bar commercial. It was like a Twix commercial or something, and like that gave him enough money to kind of like hang out and let's talk about surviving long enough. Someone like Morgan Freeman or Sam Jackson, like those dudes weren't doing shit until they were like 50. So.
Right.
Survive long enough to win. I don't know. It's a strategy.
Yeah, but also, not only survive long enough to win, you're training your muscles, man. Whether you want to see it or not, like like these times of struggle, these times of really going through it all, and you're getting your 10,000 hours. Like you're
getting close. Yeah.
So,
if I did the math, I'd be getting close.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a level of mastering that is involved with the climb, bro.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
Well, so I do that audition.
Good shit.
I get the call back, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna like level with this guy. Like, hey, actually, like I'm not really Irish, but I'm glad I get it. But then I realized at the callback that like, oh no, there's like a lot of people in that room, including the writer, the director, like producers and shit. So I doubled down. Like, oh, nice to meet you, I'm Connor. Like, oh yeah, glad to be here. I'm from Sligo. Sligo's like not technically Northern Ireland. It's like kind of on the border. They call it the gateway to the northwest. You know.
Yeah, you're fucking giving it. Hell yeah.
Well, you just you put the charm, put the butter on, and then I got the gig pretty quick. As soon as I got out of that callback, I went straight to the fucking pool where I was managing swimming lessons.
That's fucking dope. Yo, I don't want to cut you off, but I think we should mention how the fuck we met because that shit was funny as fuck.
So good, so funny. Like, man, we've lived so close to each other. I can see.
It's fucking funny how I met this guy, yo. That shit was a funny story.
You were walking to the gym. I was walking to work, like same direction.
Right.
And this car just comes like screaming, and he's like trying to honk, and he's just like, can't get behind this one car. He's trying to drive way too fast.
Oh, dude.
And he doesn't make the light.
Doesn't.
The person in front of him makes the light, and then he doesn't, which to me was so funny.
Yo,
and I started laughing, and I was just pointed at him like the dude from The Simpsons, like, ha, like, you idiot.
Yo, and I pass by and I see the guy. He goes like, "Can you believe this guy?"
Can you believe this guy? In New York City, drivers make me a little upset. It's like if you can go 0 to 60 in fucking that long, like I can go 0 to 6 for like a little bit.
But that moment, it was, you know what? It's funny because you're an actor. Didn't know you're an actor, but that shit looked like a scene. You know what I'm saying? That shit was a scene. That shit was a movie scene. That shit was hilarious.
Life is absurd.
Yo, for real. If you look at it, if you find you know what I'm saying? If you see it.
Well, you called me up to meet here, and so like I get you on the phone. I was like, and like, oh yeah, come on in. And then I was like, okay.
I was like, go to the vestibule.
The staircase on the right, 3rd floor. I'm like, okay, is this a detective movie? Drop the package.
That's a fact, yo. Yo, I got this part in the podcast, right, where I ask the individual that comes in, hey, can you give me a question that I could bring out into society? And I go ask that question.
Ooh, the question to bring out into society. I think I would ask people, what did they wish there was one thing that other people either did or didn't do in public that they wish they would either start doing or stop doing. So let me reframe that. Like, I wish more people in public would say hi, even if they're just walking down the street. Okay. Or I wish people would fucking stop using their phone while you're checking out at the grocery store.
All right.
You know?
There's one thing that you can change about what other people do in society, whether to have them to start doing it or to stop doing it. What would that one thing be?
Just be positive, you know what I'm saying? Good energy, good vibes, you know what I'm saying?
Be positive, good energy.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, positive, good energy, you know what I'm saying? Be respectful, you give respect, you know what I'm saying? You get respect. But once motherfuckers play with you, I'm gonna play back.
Right.
I'm gonna play extremely hard. And you gonna fight, right?
I would be curious what it is that people would either like, please stop doing that, or like, can we please all start doing that?
What would you do?
The big thing for me is if you're driving a fucking car, stop before the light turns red and not in the middle of the crosswalk. Because one of these days I'm gonna key your car, or I'm gonna Dukes a Hazzard over the hood if I'm having a good day.
That's right.
Yeah, and you're not gonna find me. I don't know. I take it personally. It's like if there's another one that I had. Very nice part of town, Upper West Side, and this guy in a Tesla just comes flying around a corner, blows a stop sign, turning like, and I turn like this, like he's just like about to drive into me, and he like I don't know if he presses the brakes or Elon pressed the brakes or whatever, but like he stops, and I'm just like, yo. Dude, like, what are you? My heart's a million miles an hour. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, how do you think I feel? It's like, oh, I'm sorry. How do you think I feel? Like, I'm just like, don't you tell me how you feel.
Traumatized.
Yeah. Oh, you almost just ran a guy over.
Right.
Like,
and
no, fuck you, man. Like, I'm skin and bones and flesh, and you're in a stupid car. Like, yeah, step outside and we'll see how we feel about it.
Probably was Tesla.
And not him. I don't know how that stuff works.
Yo, so you brought up a good point right before we started the podcast. Tomorrow is a fucking crazy day.
Tomorrow's gonna be, well, it's not gonna end tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna start being weird, I think, for 2 reasons. One, it's election day.
Right.
I hope you voted. I didn't have a good time voting, but I voted,
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that. But I think another reason that it's going to be weird is it's the 5th of November. And there's going to be weird, like, V for Vendetta Guy Fawkes people. Remember the 5th of November? Yeah. Someone's going to do some stupid shit.
Remember the 5th
Someone's going to do some stupid shit.
Do you think that after tomorrow, at least half the country's gonna be tight?
Well, there's no way it's done Tuesday. It's going to keep counting into Wednesday. It's going to keep counting into probably Thursday, into Friday. They're going to fight whatever happens from either side into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's what I think. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody is going to want to accept what happens either way. Yeah, I don't want to. I wish there was a secret third thing that could be a lot cooler. Yeah, but it turns out there's not, and it's not the Green Party this time. That's for damn sure.
That's another thing too, right? There's only 2 choices: Apple or Samsung.
I mean, yeah, it's worse than that. Yeah.
That's the shit. But all right, man. Yo, coming into your music, because you also make music too. Like you also like.
I do.
A singer.
I play a lot of different instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I do some singing. I like to make more music than writing lyrics. So I like working a lot with people who are good with words, because like that's the last part of my skill set, and I'm getting better slowly.
So what kind of music?
Everything, man.
Yeah.
I like everything. I like rock. I like hip hop.
So you play the guitar?
Mostly, yeah, guitar, bass. Well, I don't know, a little bit of keys. I have an accordion. I got a bunch of instruments.
That's dope.
Banjo, dulcimer. I got a little flute in my bag.
You learn one, you can learn all type shit. That's how you
Yes
do it?
and no. Like, I'm not thinking I can just like pick up a saxophone and like be all that. I have a violin that like I'm not shit on, but I can use it to like make a cool layer of something in the background. But you're not gonna hear me down at the bluegrass, jam throwing down.
Certain things take more effort. What would you say takes more effort when it comes to playing instruments?
I think learning bass guitar is pretty underrated. Bass guitar is pretty great. And if you can learn how to play bass guitar, I think it'd be easier to learn regular guitar. I think piano is pretty easy because if you press on a key, it always is going to sound like that. To where if you play a note on a string, it depends on if you're bending it, if you're closer to the fret or not, how good your strings are. But at the same time, it's easier to sound like nobody else on a guitar because there's 1,000 different ways you can play it. Exactly.
So it gives it
put some stank on it.
Okay, nice.
Put your own stank. Not that you can't put your own stank on piano. I'm sure you can.
Right.
But that C is always going to sound like middle C.
Right. It sounds like you could bend more. You could be more individualistic when it comes to playing the guitar.
Totally. That's why you can hear something out of context and say that's Jimi Hendrix or that's
I was about to say
Eric
like
Clapton,
Jimi Hendrix was the first to kind of like make that change, or would you say before that it would be?
Oh man, that's a time old honored question. There's been so many interesting guitar players. I mean, I like a lot of blues music as well. So the blues music is blues music, and usually it's a similar pattern. A lot of time it's like and I'm not a big music theory guy, but a 1-4-5, and so. Even if you hear that, whether it's the guitar or the singing, if it's Robert Johnson or if it's Son House or if it's B.B. King or Lightning Hopkins or whomever it is, even if they're all technically playing the same song. Like,
do you think that these people knew consciously that they were following a certain flow?
Ooh, interesting. I mean, I think they all knew they were playing similar music, specifically the blues guys, because 50% of those guys came from like the same neighborhood, basically. Anyway, music in general, I think it's about what I like that you said is like tapping into, or like I think when we are at our best, whether it's music or it's acting or whether you're like in a writing process, it's best when you don't have to think about it. And sometimes you do. Sometimes that's the artistry, and that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where the practice is important. But I think of myself or like an artist more like a radio tuner. It's like, what station am I picking up? How can I get that a little clearer? Like, rather than it's not coming from me, I'm receiving it and spitting it out.
Many make music. What makes it classic?
What makes classic music classic?
Well, yeah.
Man, I think that's such a personal. Music is such a personal thing.
It is, but there is certain music that
many people agree on.
Yeah,
yeah, sure. What makes something classic? I think that if it can. That's so interesting because to me, there's like. There are classic songs that make me just want to sit still, and there's classic songs that like there's no way I'm not dancing around, or there's not a song I can't fucking bang my head to. But what makes it classic? That's an interesting question. I think when you can't get it out of your brain, like I think that's
I think it's when it attaches to a collective's moment in time.
Yeah, or like a life moment or experience.
It's
I
like
think that's
it
cool.
automatically like you just that was this time.
Well, and that's also generational in some ways. I think of something like "Yeah" by Usher featuring Little John. That song means a lot of different things, and it's a fucking classic. But for me, like that song for me means middle school dance. That's like very specific.
I feel that T-Pain was middle school dance for me.
Right, for me. I mean, not that it wouldn't be that much farther along, but like when I think of T-Pain, I think of hanging out with my friend Kristen. It's just like I'm obsessed with T-Pain, but it's classic. And it's some of it's that time, and some of it is the time, or like maybe that generation thing. But I think it has a lot to do with how it attaches to your life experience, and like why one song resonates for you. It's because it connects in a good way or bad way. There's music I can't listen to anymore because it connects me to a thought of that person, or so on and so forth. Bad places, bad people, bad times, whatever it is.
I get that. That's definitely true. For me, it would be Immortal Technique, Dance with the Devil, and You Never Know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, like I could listen to that song like once every like 10 years. Because it's so
that was
fucking
enough, right?
sad.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's so fucking like, damn, like, it's just a reminder, the darkest parts of life. The good, the bad, the ugly,
And you can't have the dark without the light. Like, how can you be comfortable if you've never suffered? Like, I think about that a lot.
Yep. What the fuck is happiness? A fleeting moment.
Well,
And
I think if you don't have to either work for things or suffer for things, you don't see value in them.
I think there's an overall happiness though in terms of like your life decision and what you've done, in terms of like if you made a decision that you knew was wrong but you did it because of your own personal gain. I think that you're gonna be longing to your own personal hell. Maybe not instantaneously, but after some time, there will be some type of regret. And that's why there's always a bunch of like rich ass people that like kill themselves and shit.
Well, I would say that like I hope that there are people who feel repercussions for those things. And like we're just coming out of the Halloween season.
I see what you're saying.
And so like for me,
that's true.
Like the real villains and the monsters
don't give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's
It's not Dracula, it's not Frankenstein.
No,
it's
right.
fucking sociopaths and
that's
psychopaths and child predators and
that's very true.
Slave drivers and that kind of shit, man.
That's true. There are people that are not gonna give a single fuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's the balance, right? Do you believe in like good and evil, devil and God? You believe in any type of like?
Sure, yeah. I was raised Methodist, and like
What
so
is
like
that?
a Christianity. It's like a Protestant like sect. I think the shortest way that I like to explain what Methodist is long and the short of it is like everybody has their gifts and their superpowers in that way. How do you use those to make the world a better place?
Okay.
You know, and
Everyone
also
has an ability to connect to the.
everybody has their own special skills. You know, for me, it's not spreadsheets and finance and numbers. That's for sure. But like what I can do is talk to people. Like I teach swimming and fitness and yoga. I like to think I can, like, I help bring people a little more peace in that way. Now I'm hitting my brain fart.
But in the aspects of like really just trying to dive deep.
So in the idea of purpose, like I think it is important to have a purpose.
Absolutely.
And
I got a song called "Find Purpose."
Hey,
I fucking believe that.
And the other thing is, like I didn't ask to be here, and yet here I am.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that. Bloop. No, bloop, indeed. It's in the context of my own life and family, but also in the world. It's like, oh yeah, there's all this shit that happened way before I got here or had any say in it. And yet here I am dealing with it, disagreeing, I think, in a lot of ways, like direction and things go. To me, when I feel at my best or my most spiritual, it's when I am doing less. Whether that's like going out into nature and like fuck a phone, or like all these things or needs to do anything and literally get as quiet as possible. And that's really difficult to do when you have a 9-to-5 job, or when you have kids, or when you have you're a caretaker to someone or something, when your time is no longer yours. And it's not to say that you can't be a sports person without that stuff. Like I just find it really tricky to slow down.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to understand that balance myself too. Like, there's only so much time in the day, and there's nobody that's gonna help you get to where you want to be. So there's like this weird balance where it's like, well, what do I devote my time to? Because I could, if you're looking at life, it's kind of like watering plants, right? And you only have so much water, because
and you're only gonna eat what you grow.
And it's also kind of like, you can grow a relationship, you can grow this, you can grow that, you can grow that. Well, but then, like, at the end of the day, if you only had, like, this much left for your own aspirations and your own...
Yeah. You can grow beautiful flowers, but you can't eat that.
Yeah.
And so you also need to be growing some fucking string beans. Right. And some sweet potatoes, right. And,
right.
If you're smart, some, like, oregano, cannabis, I don't know.
You gotta grow some cannabis.
I would.
Yeah, me too.
Is it legal in New York to grow?
Yeah.
Like in the city you can? I think you can,
yeah.
I don't know if my electric bill would like that.
That's a fact. It's like 18 hours, I think they're going to be on.
Yeah, something like,
some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that. But I mean, it might be worth it if you're thinking about like how much money you're spending on weed versus...
I just gotta find. The thing is that if everybody grew that much, we'd have way too much weed. We'd have way too much weed.
Regardless, when you're thinking about like a role, right? Is it real? Do you get lost in the role? Is that fucking real?
Yeah, I can see where you could. This is where I go back to the game of golf. That's sort of like getting lost in shit and like thinking as your character and like, I'm going to get in their skin and crawl around. You better call me Howard because now I'm Howard. When I look like this, I'm Howard. Only call me Howard because I sleep in a dumpster because Howard sleeps in a dumpster. Yeah, that might be what you need to do, but it also might not. Like, anybody you're going to portray in 99% of the roles that you're going up for, they are people. Everyday people. Like it's just, I mean, what you have to do is you have to be you, and some of that stuff it's a voice or a thing, but like you don't have to do all that. I don't think you have to do all that extra stuff. Now, the more that you prepare ahead of time, and this is the thing that I think is really interesting about film acting versus maybe theater. In theater, you get a role, and it's kind of like if you were, bear with me here, building a roller coaster. In the theater, you build the whole roller coaster, and you spend like weeks with these people, and you build the roller coaster, and then you put like, oh yeah, and then the lights here, and the photo part goes there, and then maybe you make it a big thing, you like build this whole thing.
Yeah, it's good.
And then you spend weeks writing it, and it's all complete. When you're shooting a film, you're building pieces of it. Okay, we're doing the loop-de-loop today. What? Yeah, we're doing the loop-de-loop today. Whoa! And then the next day is like, oh, we're doing the slow climb today. And like, okay. And like, what's the shot that we're doing after the slow climb? It's the fall, right? No. We're going to shoot the fall at the end. What we're going to do, and it's like all of these little pieces at different times. This makes it challenging.
You bring up a good point. So that's another thing too. So you're saying that when it comes to films, there's not even a certain chronological order
some
that you
people
might even follow, but it eventually does.
Depends on the project. Sometimes the director's like, we're going to work in chronological order, and I love that. That's great because as a theater actor, like that makes sense. Okay, I'm past this part now. I'm at this part. I'm past this part. I'm at this part. When you have to jump back and forth, that's what's really tricky about the film acting. Now, because in the film acting you are doing the loop-de-loop today one time, you get one shot. You have to prepare for that ahead of time. So like if you're shooting the scene today where
how far advanced do you know?
Usually, I mean, in a good project, you will know at least what you're going to do at the least the day before on the call sheet. But if you have a big role, I've talked with people ahead of time and be like, okay, we're going to shoot it in this order. And this is where I'm getting at is like, if for example the scene is a drug deal gone bad, I have to do all of that character stuff so way ahead of time, and I have to know it enough to where you don't have to think about it anymore. And in a lot of ways, not every time, I think you are best prepared for an acting scene when you know the lines well enough to where it doesn't matter. I could just say them out loud like I was saying my grocery list, which would be, onions, garlic, scallions, pretzels, low-fat cottage cheese, like whatever it is. Like it has to be, you have to be able to say it like that rote, so it's in there.
Right.
So when it's time, you can throw all of that information out of whatever weird, filter that you need. And you might work with a director who's like, yeah, 10 times bigger. And then like, no, like different than that. And so you got to take all of that and be able to play with that Play-Doh in a lot of different ways.
Do some of these roles, is it like it has to be concrete to the line? You have to say all the words exactly to the T, or is there some playroom?
Depends on the director and depends on the writer.
Really?
So, usually this was called like word, doesn't need to be word perfect. It needs to be word perfect, it needs to be exactly that.
Is there like some type of indication for actors to know that it has to be word perfect or not? Or you
usually ask well, sometimes it'll even be in an audition. And so when you get an audition, it will say like, does not need to be word perfect. Actors are allowed to improvise. Or it might be like, please be like on script, stay on script. Yeah, like don't stray from that. Yeah, don't fuck with that. Yeah. And there's a lot of writers who take it personally. Like, no, those are my words. Like, we're paying you to say my words. Like, don't say those words. Those are not the words for you to say. Right. Yeah, like, get out of here, which I can respect. And then there's other contexts where it's like, well, this is where we're going. What do you bring to it? I don't know. Again, I have a background in not just improv, but like long form comedic improv. Yeah, I was in a group at Arizona State. And then we did some other projects. One was a improvised teen drama, so like 90210 or like Seventh Heaven or Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, I remember.
So we were called Dawson's Queef, and it was like silly. It was a bunch of dudes, and we would fade in really cheesy alternative 90s and thousands music, and so. When a scene was just like, oh yeah, Tommy, think I'm gonna let you get to your locker, and then we have that like angry Limp Bizkit music come on, and it just like pump up the scene. But
That's fucking funny.
being able to just riff with other actors like that can be a really quality skill, but you have to know when that's needed and when that's not needed.
And you know.
Hopefully. And the other thing is like you might get, honestly, I hope you do. If not, everyone else is going to know and you're not, and that's uncomfortable.
You been there?
I've seen it happen. Hasn't happened to me that I'm aware of, but I've seen it happen in different contexts. That's not really anybody's fault. It's just like, someone's going for something and it ain't that. Not the thing to do. Yeah. Or doesn't get the social cue or whatever it is. And then sometimes you'll be in a project and someone will ask you, a director will like give you a note or a direction, and then they'll be like very sure and firm, and you'll ask and they'll be like that, and like you don't know what the fuck that means, and so you have to like do a Google Translate in your head, and they might say something like, I need you to be more upset, I need you to be more anxious. So like, okay, a little faster. It's like, no, like I need you to be to make them really feel it, right? So it's like, they need you to make them feel it. Okay, so do you want me to take more time and engage with them more? Like, you have to, do those translations in real time. And there's, ways to you think about that ahead of time. What if it goes this way? If you go into a scenario and you think you know how it's gonna go, you're probably wrong. If you show up in a scenario and you go, you know what? I'm just going to see how this goes. Then I'm going to react in whatever way. You're way more likely to succeed. And in an acting scenario, it's way more likely to be natural.
So do you think that that's why things constantly change? Because they're working within the ever so changing scenario of what it could come out to?
What do you mean things constantly change?
When I say things constantly change, I should be more specific. Like, for example, you were saying before how when I was asking you if, how far in advance would you know that something's happening?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Is it, because things like that alter scenarios.
Man,
right?
I've been in a situation where it's like, hey, we're shooting tomorrow, Thursday, we're shooting scenes 3, 5, and 7. Cool. I wake up the next day, we're shooting scene 9 today. What? So now, like, instead of having a nice, good breakfast, you're just like, let me see if I can see 9. Like, I wasn't having to worry about, memorizing that until 2 days later, which could happen. But if you had it all ahead of time, you don't have to worry about it, granted. But what I'm saying is you can't trust that it's always going to be according to schedule. Are there people who do that?
Overachievers in the sense?
I don't know if it's overachievers. Like, you need to do what you need to do you. And I mean that in arts, and I mean that in life. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Like, because even if you do it.
Same sort of thing like golf. There's someone who's going to reach for that club, and there's someone who's going to reach for that club. Another really good memoir I like a lot is Michael Caine. Sir Michael Caine. He's an old British guy. If you've seen Austin Powers 3, he's his father. Okay. Well, he's Michael Caine's done a lot more than that. Sorry, Michael Caine.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
that's my quickest reference. You can look up his IMDb. He's got a book called, I think it's called Acting in Film, something like that. Oh no, I'm losing my marbles. Where's I going with this?
How many people do you think
another good book
that act versus who are successful actors?
I mean, depends on what you.
And what I mean by success, able to live off their acting.
Yeah.
Just that. Nothing too crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying anything extravagant.
Yeah.
But like could live off their acting.
If I had to guess at that number,
Out of 100.
Out of 100, man.
Not to say that you would know the answer.
No, I think it's fewer than 5. So it'd be but less than 5%.
What?
I think of people who like not only try or who are like really going for it and have hustles and like, yeah, man, it's really low. The odds is not good. I talk about a life in the art in a lot of ways, like buying lotto tickets with like a little bit better odds, because you have the relationships factor and you have like stuff to show for it. So I have my reel, I have my stuff. Right. A lot of times you get projects as you work with someone and then they're like, you know, hey, so and so, you know, came to the showing and liked your work and is doing this. And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, and sometimes you're like, yes, absolutely, and then you also need to learn when to say no, if that makes sense.
Let me ask you, like, I'm sure during your time, maybe you came together with a group of friends, or maybe you came together with a group of creatives, maybe wanted to create your own shit.
Sure.
And, like, how does that play out? How has that played out for you?
I think it's,
is that something that you are planning to continue doing? Yeah,
I think you are only as strong as your network in this industry. Like, you're only as strong as the people you know. And I mean that in also a way to be careful, because there's plenty of people who are like, I don't know, I say that, I haven't experienced that, but I'm always weary. Like I said before, people I've made films with who I've become lifelong friends with. Whether we've, you know, end up making another project together or not, for a lot of those people, I'll always read their stuff and they'll send it to me, or like, hey man, if this goes, you're in. Like, and you make a lot of pacts like that. I don't say a lot of pacts, but you do make pacts like that with people, and that's the point, man. I wanna climb up that ladder and reach down and pull as many people as I can up. And you hope that would be done for you, because again, I think it's less than 5%. Like, it's not great odds. And that is to say, diversify, because I'm not going to make a living just doing acting. I'm also going to have to do, you know, have my hand in writing or in producing or in music stuff. Right. Like, I'm interested in soundtrack, and I've done a little like score soundtrack stuff for people before. I think
diversify your artistic portfolio.
I think I'm more likely to stay busy through slow seasons. And if there are a lot of slow seasons, well, there's a lot of seasons. So enough of them will create enough opportunity for me to eat, is my hope.
And you stay inspired. Because you're constantly doing something. So it's not like, you know.
Constantly doing something and then also taking time to not do anything. I think that like being overproductive is also very dangerous. Yeah,
You get burnt out. It's true.
Well, and people convince themselves that they're doing real good, but they're burning the candle at both ends. Like, why is heart disease so bad for people? Because stress is so high. It's like it has. I think it has less to do with. With this, there's a lot of things, but it's stress. It's lack of physical culture. It's oh man, big pharma. It's food deserts. It's a lot of things.
It's true. What we eat, most of this shit is fucked up. Damn. Now, if you're gonna give yourself a dream role or a dream position, what would it be?
If I'm being completely honest, it would probably be a very long-running animated cartoon of some kind.
Cartoon?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've always loved cartoons.
Rick and Morty shit?
Really anything.
To the extent that it lasts long, a lot of people are into it. Fucking, you could
and if it doesn't last long, that the career can last long. I'd rather be a million different people over the time, because life kind of feels like that. Life's too boring to be one guy all the time. I mean, I like me, but I like stepping into a different skin. But no, voices for cartoons, and just so like you set up your life correctly, you can live anywhere, you can work from home. You're making silly noises on a microphone and like maybe meeting people at conventions whose like lives you've made better for that sort of thing. Right. Depending on who it is and how you do it, you may have had a hand in writing it as well. There's a lot of animation that's like, I don't know, changed my life. I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo as a kid, which is not necessarily either here nor there, but I've watched more Scooby-Doo than a lot of people I know.
What are some key factors you would say are into a good production?
Yeah, good factors. Well, so it's all people power, man. Anything good comes from people power. Does film specifically takes money, but good people power can do things cheaply.
Right.
It's gonna take tremendous effort, and probably, I would say, possibly be less fun that way. I mean,
without money?
Yeah, without money, I mean, you stay in less comfortable places.
Right.
Like, the food options can be like, there's really some quality of life shit, and that's the reason something like SAG exists.
Right.
Like, man, I've slept on pizza boxes.
Right.
You know, I say it as a joke, like not literally on a pizza box, but you know, sometimes you crash where you fit in that sort of early on guerrilla type of filmmaking. So what makes a great production, like I said, the people power. It is you have your teams, because the other thing that doesn't work is one person doing everything, and there are a lot of
There's a lot of that.
well, there's a lot of filmmakers I know who have fallen into that, and what's difficult is when you don't have a budget to have the extra people, like those responsibilities become your responsibilities, and then like you literally have to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's just a big challenge. Like, it's not those projects didn't necessarily turn out bad. I just realized how difficult it just falls on the filmmaker's shoulders at that point, which is crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot of reasons a lot of people don't do it. It's
Right.
like, it's very...
That's why it's amazing when there's something that's actually completed, right?
Yes. And there's projects I've been a part of that have filmed and then never gotten released, even if I only did them to get like, when you first start out, like, there's not money in it, and you might do it for footage, just so that you have what is like good looking footage.
Right.
And it's very helpful to have something like that if you're going to have an agent who's going to be sending you on auditions for things like Law and Order or like whatever your
to have
Netflix
a website
stuff.
like yours is very direct. Boom.
Honestly, my website may not mean shit other than it's an easy way to get a hold of me, and I can connect my email to it, and it feels official, which is great. Does it get me a lot of traffic? Not necessarily. What you do is something like Actors Access, which is a website. If you want to have an agent, you're going to need an Actors Access account anyway. If you're trying to find stuff through Actors Access, it might be called Actors Access Plus now, but there's a way where like you don't pay per submission, you pay a yearly fee, and it's not a lot. It's like $75, and you can not only, I think, get 2 free photos, and you could submit yourself to all kinds of stuff, including modeling stuff, blah, 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 film, short film, some TV stuff, commercials. That's the way to get started. I don't think that's really changed. So there are things like backstage.com is a fine way. There are ways to get good gigs through there that are legit, and there's a lot of people there are some people that might waste your time. But it all depends. Like, you have to learn how to suss that out. That's why I say, like, everything can't be for you.
Yeah, you gotta learn. Yeah, it's very true, man. Very true. You gotta like learn and see what makes sense, right?
And what's going to be worth your time. Because
Such a little bit of time to do shit.
Such a little bit of time to do shit.
Simplest way to put it.
Like, my dream is to have way more free time. Like, you know, to have enough money to have free time. Is that? And not that I would spend it doing frivolous shit. Like I would continue living my same life. If I didn't have to teach swimming, teach yoga, do personal training, I would still be doing those things. But it would be for people I know who needed it. And it wouldn't be, for money, and probably not, for the people who currently pay my bills. But like,
it is what it is.
And I'm going to survive long enough to fucking see my truth happen.
That's right. Hell yeah. And all right, what's something that you can say that keeps you going through it all?
I think a part of it is, and I don't know if it's like because I got older or I am privileged enough to grow up how I did and like go to college and shit, and just like now all of these little things line up to where my perspective on the world is like pretty locked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Yeah. I think there is just so much bullshit like going on all the time, whether like that's politically speaking. I think a lot of people are distracted by so many things that don't matter. Yeah. And I think that we as a culture buy and ask for and create too much useless shit. You like Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
You read the Lorax?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lorax speaks for the trees. What do? They cut down all the truffula trees to make thneeds. A thneed is a thing that everyone needs. What the fuck is a thneed? Well, first of all, it's a Snuggie. And the first time I saw an infomercial for a Snuggie, I almost shit my pants. I was like, there's no way they're actually making this bullshit. Mm-hmm. That was before Amazon came around, and now like the number of cardboard boxes that like go through an apartment building, like it freaks me out. Just the amount of stuff. It's just stuff and stuff. And people are getting more jobs to create more stuff, to create spreadsheets in order to be like, you know what we need? More of that stuff and less of this stuff. And what is it getting us? Like anxious. Phones are keeping us, like, I think a little too plugged in. And fuck, I don't have an answer to that in a global world. Like, I kind of do want to know what's going on, but I don't know if the biblical metaphor of the forbidden fruit's the right answer, but we ate
that shit.
And can we put the genie back in the bottle? No. I don't know. I work with kids. I've worked with kids for a long time. I've worked with kids for 20 years, longer than I've been teaching swimming. I've seen more little kids like anxious and not sure of themselves in the world. These are mostly kids that are at least born just before or during COVID. Like that worries me. I think that if I was alive in my middle school years, if there was social media, it would have been really bad for someone like me at that age, who was very, had pretty like low self-esteem. I would say I went through some bullying, like definitely. I was overweight, chubby, bookish.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like that from maybe 9 until 14 or so. But like I was the fat kid for a long time, and like got fucked with a lot in school. It was not fun. But if there was something like Instagram or, even at that time, Facebook or MySpace, like I think that would have been really poor for me. Even it was already tough on AOL Instant Messenger, and you get people saying shit about you or screen caps of that and so on and so forth. But the things that I had that were really important were a couple of best friends. I joke in some ways, but I was like, I was probably 2 best friends away from like maybe taking a real bad turn as like a human being, right? Just in that like sadness and loneliness and stuff. And the other thing I had was a lot of really awesome public school teachers. Like I went to public school my whole education. I had some teachers who were really fucking cool, who didn't have to be so cool. And I hope it's because like I was cool, right? And just didn't see that yet or whatever. But probably kept me alive, you know?
Right. And to keep it going, man.
Yeah.
Yo, look, that is the only way. I feel like people you connect with in your life, you know, you could look at the bad, you could look at the good, but it's really a matter of the action that they did in your life at the time that you knew them. They didn't have to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you could do that for other people, but when other people do it to you, whether you notice or not, that's I feel like, the difference that can make people keep going, you know? This is my fucking 95th podcast.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm almost at 100.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like, I haven't stopped, bro. It's like been over a year. Every week I've been dropping a podcast. Like, just like right after another one, go.
Well,
Like,
something I say is, as a trainer, a lot to people is like, well, like, how do I do this? Like, how do I, whether it's, I don't care what it is, lose weight, learn how to swim, like, get more flexible. You need two things. How do you make it in acting? Consistency and consistency. If you have those two things, you'll get that shit done.
I know, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like watching that, like whatever. You got to not stress yourself out. You got to like self-care. You know, you got to make it long enough.
That's true.
That's
true.
You just got to keep doing it. And you have to not give up. Yeah. Or another good other way to think about it that I like a lot is there's attention and intention. And having an intention to do something is great. But if you're not putting your attention into what that is, it's not going to go anywhere.
It's not. Yeah, it's very true.
Or if you're just putting attention in stuff and having no reason behind it, you're not going to have that path. You just as well get lost in the weeds.
That's also very true. I feel like the more I've done this podcast, the more I got to know a lot about people and know about a lot of different walks of life and different beliefs. I think that when it comes down to it, we're all hungry just for different sources of knowledge. And it's really dependent on the person's character. Like, at the end of the day, there's very egocentric people, and then there's peaceful people that don't give a fuck about any of that egocentric shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's really those two people. And like, you know, in life you come across them. Sometimes in life you could be them, and then you could learn to not be them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's like
there's the philosophy of everybody you ever meet. It's just you reflected back at you. So.
Oh, bro, that's fucking. You ever heard that story, The Egg by Andy Weir?
Sure. Yeah.
It's fucking great story. Fucking Cartwright got a good also understanding of people where it's like. Human is like the onion, and there's many layers to it. But when you go to the center of it all, there's nothing.
Just all Shrek, yeah, man.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like what I take in that is like space, right? There's a lot of nothing in space, but there's also life in space. So it's like for me, it's like wow, okay, maybe there's creation in the nothing.
Right, we're more space than we're anything. Right. There's less of anything than there is really space between our molecules and stuff. I think that sounds sciencey, right? At least for this time of night with this much Modelo.
That's fact. Yo, thank you again for bringing this fucking Modelo.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
What's something that you can say to the people watching, just in general?
What is something I could say to the people watching just in general?
Yeah, you can take it upon yourself to like do whatever you want with that.
Shit, if you're gonna do anything, and I think you would not only be doing this for you, but you can also think about doing this for the rest of the people you come in contact with after this is done, is sit the fuck down and take 10 deep breaths. Like as big as you can inhale and as big as you can exhale, but like slow. Don't make yourself super anxious about it. And then go about your day. And I also mean that as like we're recording this Monday before an election that like may not be, all figured out by the time this airs. Many, time from now. I'm not ready to make a guess, man. I can't.
Do it. Do it on camera. This is not gonna come out until like after anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Oof. Fun called shot then. Well, we were all hopeful in 2016. I say we. I was not ready for Donald Trump to be president, and he was, and like it was not great. I know people would say that the opposite is true for when Biden became president. Blah 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 blah. I'm not here to talk about this or that. I don't want him to be a president a second time. Now, I'm worried that there's a lot of people who aren't talking about. I'm not worried. I think there's a lot of people who aren't talking about who they're voting for, and that's fine. Like, it's literally your right, and you shouldn't have to. I think you should vote. That the polls may not mean shit. So, and right now the polls are saying it's close anyway. Like, what does that mean? Am I stoked for anybody to win? No. I really hope it's not Trump. I really hope it's not Trump. That's what I'll say.
I feel that, bro.
That's it.
I feel that, man. Hey, yo, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, what would your dream job be? Like, you're someone who's also dabbling. You do music stuff, which is great, like killer stuff. I got more questions for you after this, like stuff with obviously podcast and I don't know, possibly like whatever lifestyle stuff. Like, what would you want to do? What would you expand? What do you see?
There's a lot I want to do, bro. But it's like everything happens in steps. So I understand that I need to do certain things first before I get to another level for me to do what I really want to do. But what I really, really want to do, like my genuine purpose in life, is not even any of this shit.
Yeah, great. What is it?
Yeah, it's not even any of this. I love doing this. Don't get me wrong. I love podcasting. I love music. I love all this. But what I really want to do is I want to create parks in the perspective of a community and attract the community with their favorite artists. And basically, like, because if you think about it, right, what's a true democratic space in society?
Yeah, free public space. Yeah.
A park.
I'm leaning that way. I mean, I have a lot of qualms with how we set up our parks in New York City, but I do like that they're there.
That's another point. How many parks are created by the community?
Well, not enough of them. You're getting into civic government, which I think is interesting.
It's mostly parks that they're already created. Like, it's designed for that specific place.
Sure.
That's it. You get a basketball court, you get some jungle gym shit, and that's it.
Well, not even some good jungle gym shit. Let's talk about getting...
No,
that's what kills me.
Some places have advanced.
Some is better. Yeah, some comes like 36th Ave down the south there. Like, man, they've got some good stuff. Like different height bars, like different places you can do box jumps and stuff. Man, they have a whole
little web shit.
They have a whole football, like soccer arena.
Okay.
Yeah, it's lit over there. I like it over there. But around here, you get the parallel bars over Astoria Heights.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something like other countries have parks everywhere where it's just like I'm trying to have old people hanging out being fit and shit.
Another thing that was really dope for me when I was young, I was into graffiti. I don't do it anymore. But when I was younger, I was into graffiti. Like, it would be dope. Like, imagine there was a big ass wall that gets painted once a month.
I could be why not?
That's fire,
There's
right?
no reason you
it's
couldn't do
like,
that.
first of all, that's a job, right? To fucking paint. It is.
Man, if you could make it a thing where artists submit designs and then they get paid to do a thing, and
not even. It could be some gangster shit, like where it's like, yo, people come up, they do this shit. You want to buff their shit out, your shit better be better than them. And if it's not, you're fucking ass. And everyone shits on you. Because guess what? That's how it is in graffiti world.
It is how it is.
Like,
yeah.
So it's just like respect. You know what I mean? Like, whether you respect it or you don't, like, it is what it is. Next month is a new thing.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like, yo, you know what I mean?
And then start it back from the beginning.
Yeah,
sure.
that's like I don't know. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, there's mad shit I want to do. That's just one thing, right? Like, but in general,
I was an open place where I could play hacky sack nearby that bums didn't pee and shit on. Like, I love that little park right there by the library. But
well, imagine there was a certain area that was designed for hacky sack. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that'd be.
This is the candidate I can get behind. No, I'm saying like it sounds like something we can talk to the city council maybe.
But
about.
it would be something that it would involve a lot of people. It would bring a lot of jobs, and then it would also inspire the youth, because you're bringing people, involving the community to grow the thing that they're gonna be fucking playing in for how many years?
I think getting to community is the important piece.
You said what?
Getting to community, and the idea of community, because like I know the people that live in my building, and I know a couple of, like, my neighbors, but like not enough. And why not? Like, the best communities that I'm a part of are the ones that I've tended to find through yoga recently, just because like everyone kind of like gets on board and people show up and it's about like whatever, feeling good and generally quite inclusatory. But yeah, we get away from that a lot. And again, talking about like we have too much shit, I think in the getting too big for our britches, we don't need our neighbors anymore. And I feel like if there was a way we like needed our neighbors more, thinking of places like.
I think I'm gonna disagree with you here.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, I agree with you in the aspect that you should understand that we need each other, right? But I'm gonna disagree with you in the fact that like we shouldn't feel like we need each other. We should want each other. You know what I mean? Like, we should want each other to grow. We should want each other to fucking like it doesn't always have to be your time.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no,
like,
I love the distinction that you make. I agree.
You know
We should want each other, in our lives. And honestly, as people, we can agree and disagree with. I think you said it beautifully. We should
Like,
we should
honestly,
want
like,
to have each other as community.
Bro, like all that shit, like even I enjoy when people disagree with me. I enjoy, like, I'll take all that shit. There's just like a lot of things that people don't understand within themselves because they haven't really walked through themselves or really dove deep enough to accept. Like, sometimes most of the time criticism is good. People will not take it because they're going to be stuck with themselves, or they're stuck with their, like, how they view themselves. Or it could be also vice versa. Like, maybe they could take criticism, but they can't give it. And then they're caught in that shit too, because you have to be real with people. People want you to be as real as they are with you.
Sure.
You know, like, it doesn't matter who you come across, but sometimes it depends on them on how they want to be real with themselves. You know, there's gonna be people that don't want to be real with themselves, and that's on them. You know, like, they're wasting time, I feel like. You know, like, because there's a lot more to enjoy. You know, like, but yo, it really is like that, man. And bro, I know we could fucking talk for hours, bro. But yo,
what's funny is like we've been with the amount of time we spent with each other now is probably like 100x the amount of time we had met the one other time.
Yeah, but I already knew. Like, there was that moment was funny as fuck, and I was like, this guy's fucking funny. This is gonna be definitely something more to fucking learn from this guy. And then look. You're a fucking dope-ass actor, man.
Appreciate it.
And I fucking hope that there's going to be so much more coming your way, bro. More fucking blessings and more, like, just what you want. You know what I mean? Like, what you truly desire. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. And, yo, bro, where can the people find you, man?
Best place to find me is on Instagram at Con Dylan, C-O-N, as in Connor, Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N. ConnorDylan.com if you want to catch a little of the acting reel. Man, I even have more stuff to add on there. I got new headshots dropping. By the time this comes out, you'll see this new face out there. But yeah.
So yeah.
Go. It's the conversation. Yeah. Take your mind different places. Now you know. So yeah.